There's a paradox that very few young men are willing to accept. The more you chase women, the further you stray from your genuine attractiveness. It sounds counterintuitive, doesn't it? We live in a world that constantly tells young men to go after what they want. Make the first move, and don't let her slip away. But in doing so, we often become detached from the very energy that makes us magnetic in the first place. Because attraction in a woman's eyes isn't measured by the brand on your wrist, the horsepower under your hood, or the way your gaze lingers on her. It lives in something quieter, more invisible, and far more difficult to imitate: your internal strength, the challenge. No one teaches you this. Your father might not have known. Society won't explain it. And women, though they feel it deeply, can't always describe it clearly, because what they're sensing is something they can't reasonably analyze. They just know when it's there and when it's not. That's why, as men, we must learn to read the unspoken, to understand the unsaid, not to manipulate, not to play games, but to become someone worthy of being trusted. A man who doesn't just attract women, but attracts a higher version of himself. So here it is, 9 silent truths that grounded men know deeply but rarely say out loud. 1. Emotional stability, the place where she can rest. You may have heard that women want a romantic man who listens and who communicates well. And while all of that has value, beneath the surface, something far more primal is at play. A woman seeks refuge, not in your wealth, not in your status, but in your emotional steadiness. You don't need to be perfect, but if you're constantly triggered, jealous, defensive, needy, she won't feel safe around you. And safety, for a woman, isn't just physical. It's emotional, energetic, and spiritual. She can face the chaos of the world, but she cannot endlessly carry a man who collapses in the face of his inner storms. You don't have to be a wall, but you can't be the flood. She wants to melt in your arms, not brace for your outbursts. She wants to feel held, not hold you together. And in your presence, she wants to return to her softness, not armor up. This doesn't mean suppressing your emotions. It means mastering them, owning them, choosing when to speak and when silence says more. As Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. That's the power she feels safe around. 2. Scarcity. She can't value what she fully possesses. Attraction is strange. The moment you're always available, you begin to disappear. This doesn't mean you should play games or disappear to provoke her, but it does mean that you must have a life outside of her, a mission, a rhythm, a solitude that doesn't vanish just because she walks in the room. When she knows she can have you at any time, in any mood, with any behavior, she stops cherishing the connection. We value what isn't guaranteed. We treasure what feels chosen. A woman doesn't want an evasive man, but she's not drawn to a man who hands over all of himself too quickly either. Your sacredness, your time, your energy, your presence must be earned, not assumed. The paradox is simple. The less she owns you, the more she'll desire you. 3. Silent presence. You don't need to prove yourself. There's a kind of man who walks into a room and doesn't have to say a word, and yet everyone notices. It's not because he's the loudest. It's because his silence isn't rooted in insecurity. It's grounded in self-assurance. His posture speaks. His stillness speaks. His calm speaks. That's what we call presence. And it's the most attractive thing you'll ever find for sale. A woman may compliment your looks, your voice, your scent, but what truly lingers in her memory is the energy you brought into a room, the way you made her feel simply by being you. Presence isn't something you perform. It's something you become by mastering your breath, your thoughts, your pace. You're not in a rush. You don't overshare. You don't beg for attention. You simply allow others to rise to the frequency you've chosen for yourself. When a man owns his space, he doesn't compete. He invites alignment. 4. The power to walk away. Your value isn't negotiable. Young men are taught to fight for love, to never give up, to prove their loyalty. But there comes a moment when the strongest thing you can do is walk away, not out of anger, not to punish her, but because you've remembered your value. If she disrespects you, manipulates you, plays games, or the connection becomes toxic, staying doesn't show strength, it shows fear. The Stoic man knows love is a gift, not a transaction. He's not afraid to leave because his self-worth isn't built on being accepted, it's built on being aligned. And here's the irony: the man who can walk away calmly, silently, with no drama, is the man women regret losing the most. 5. A man with a mission cannot be replaced. There's one type of man a woman will never forget: the man she could never fully own, because he belonged to something greater than both of them. That man doesn't live for love alone. He loves, but from a foundation of purpose, whether it's building something, creating impact, or embodying a philosophy. His heart isn't the only engine running his life, and that's exactly why she's drawn to him. She doesn't want to be your entire world. She just wants to know amidst your world you choose her. A man with no mission becomes hollow. He leans too heavily on romance. He asks love to give what only purpose can provide, meaning. But a man on fire with a calling, every time he enters her space, he brings the scent of momentum, depth, and gravity. He becomes unforgettable because he is irreplaceable. 6. Vulnerable, but not needy. Let's clear something up. Being vulnerable doesn't make you weak, but being emotionally reckless while vulnerable does. Women are moved by a man who's real, who can speak his pain but not drown in it, who can share his truth but doesn't need a savior. You're not there to unload, you're there to connect genuinely, humbly, from a place of ownership. The moment vulnerability turns into a need for constant reassurance, validation, or understanding, it begins to repel. Speak your story, but don't wear it like a badge. Let her know you've been through storms, but you've become your lighthouse. That's the balance that draws her in. A man who's open but anchored, soft but sovereign. 7. She will test you. Don't flinch. Here's something no one told you growing up. A woman will test you, not because she wants to hurt you, but because she wants to know if you're real. She might withdraw. She might challenge your views. She might create tension, not to destroy trust, but to see if it can hold weight. And at that moment, your reaction reveals everything. If you panic, lash out, or beg, she knows you're not steady. If you become passive and start people-pleasing, she senses the lack of depth. But if you stand firm, calmly, without trying to win, she starts to trust, because she now sees you're not shaken by momentary winds. You are the oak tree in the storm, the calm in the chaos, and that, more than words, tells her you are worth opening up to. 8. You're not afraid of rejection because you know who you are. There's a quiet power in a man who doesn't fear rejection, not because he's arrogant, but because he's whole. He knows a no doesn't change his value. He doesn't crumble when things don't go his way. He doesn't need to win every interaction to feel like a man. A woman might decline your offer, but if you respond with grace, with calm, with dignity, she walks away impressed. Because you've shown her something rare, you don't chase acceptance, you carry it. 9. Mastery over desire. The man who cannot be owned. Desire is natural, but when it controls you, it owns you. Women can tell when your energy is driven by lust instead of presence, too eager, too fast, too much. And when you don't control your desire, you lose your center. And without your center, you can't make her feel safe or truly attracted. A strong man doesn't pretend to be without desire, but he channels it, contains it, sharpens it. He knows when to say yes, when to wait, when to walk away. And in that restraint there is power. She no longer feels like a goal to be captured. She feels like a woman to be respected. That's the kind of man women lean into, not out of need, but out of admiration. Final words: become the man she feels safe to be herself with. Let's be honest. Most of what men are taught about women is noise. What she truly wants can't be spoken. It must be felt. And it's felt in your energy, your groundedness, your sense of purpose. Not in what you say, but in what you are when you stop trying to perform. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be present, aware, composed, deep. A man who knows what anchors him and what throws him off course. A man who doesn't lose himself in the hunger to be loved. Because in the end, what keeps a woman, isn't it your charm, your promises, or your words? It's the peace she feels in your presence. It's the safety to soften, to trust, to stay. And she may never say it aloud, but she'll know, deep in her bones, you are the man who doesn't get shaken by storms, doesn't chase what isn't aligned, doesn't fall for the noise. And in a chaotic world, you are her quiet place. If this message reached something inside you, share this with a man who needs to hear it. Because sometimes, what we're missing isn't a strategy, but an awakening. This is the Stoic love philosophy, where we don't chase women, we become the kind of man no woman wants to leave. See you in the next video.